Hello, my name is Liisa O'Malley, otherwise known as Vasu or Vasuda. This video is a tribute to Ram Dass, my teacher for 44 years, and he passed away December 22nd, 2019. I did a little snippet for him, a memorial, at a memorial service in Ojai, California on January 18th, 2020. And I'm going to post it on Facebook, but it's only a snippet, like 2 minutes and 30 seconds. And it was much longer, but my phone didn't have enough memory to record it. And so I decided to, with the help of my husband, who has a website, www.bzone.com, and he publishes a lot about spiritual teachers, and I decided to do a series with his encouragement on my memories, reflections, and teachings that I received from Ram Dass for 44 years. But I would like to begin with my story. And at a young age, tender young age of 22 years old, I had graduated from college, and I was a seeker. I was looking. I didn't know what I was going to do. And one day, I was going to the beach in September on a beautiful Indian summer day, and I went to a bookstore, and this book fell at my feet. It was Be Here Now. I didn't really know anything about the book, except I did know there were two professors that were fired from Harvard, and one of them was this person. And I thought, well, this is the book I'm supposed to read. It was September 1974. So I picked up the book and I walked to the beach, Singing Beach in Manchester, Massachusetts, and I started reading the book. And I read it cover to cover. I couldn't put it down. It was almost like I had popped the cork and the genie came out of the bottle. And I felt so inspired. And I read it cover to cover. And I said to my two girlfriends that were with me, if a plane landed on this beach, I would go to India. And they were a little bit, oh, what's going on? The book was just speaking to me. And the format of Be Here Now, as many of you know, is a little different than most books. But I read the book, and I went home immediately, and I wrote kind of a, hello, dear Ram Dass, my name is Liisa O'Malley. I just graduated from the University of Massachusetts, and, you know, I just read your book. Well, I got a form letter, and that form letter said, first I got a letter to come to his father's farm in Franklin, New Hampshire. But I was away when the little note came, so I didn't get to go. But I also got a form letter that said what his schedule would be. So in May, I went to hear him at Sergeant's Gym in Boston, at Boston University on Comm Ave. Krishna Das was chanting, and there were other people on the stage, and I can remember kind of feeling out of place, but there was something about it that I really loved. So I went right home and said, Ram Dass, I wrote him another letter, I need your help. Well, lo and behold, maybe not very much time went by, and I got a little piece of stationery with a Hanuman. And it said, Hanuman Foundation, 276 Riverside Drive, New York City. And it said, Dear Liisa, I'm going to be having a group interview here in New York, and you're welcome to attend. And I got the letter, and I said, wow, I have to go. So I thought, oh, what am I going to wear? And I had another friend who said, well, I can drive you. I mean, I came from a very small fishing village, Gloucester, Massachusetts, about 45 minutes northeast of Boston. Really, it's an island connected by two bridges. And so I wasn't really exposed to a lot that was going on. And at this time, America was going through really a cultural transformation. But somehow, somewhere, something, I was on that track. And so I got this note, and So we drove to New York City for this group interview. And we got there a couple hours early, and do you know we got a parking spot right in front of 276 Riverside Drive, New York. Now, New York, if many of you know New York City, it's hard to find really good parking close to where you want to go. And we were a couple of hours early, so we walked down some of the streets, and we come to an area which was like a little farmer's market. And I bought a bag of fruit. So we went back to the foundation, and we knocked, and Ramdev, or Dale Borglum, the executive director of the Living Dying Project in Fairfax, California, he answered the door. And he said, "You're a little early, but I guess you can come in." And just an aside, how ironic is this? Ramdev opened the door for me to really have my first personal encounter with Ram Dass. And he was the one this past December that called me to tell me Ram Dass had passed. Ed and I were on the road traveling to California, and I got the call when I was in Pasadena, California. And of course it was even on CNN, on the ticker, on the little strip on the bottom, it exploded. Everybody was talking about Ram Dass's passing. He had just died. Anyway, we went in and we were sitting in this bedroom, and there were Indian bedspreads on the wall, and people started arriving. Probably 15 people, maybe 20. And women had Afghani dresses on and tie-dye t-shirts, and the guys had Indian kurtas on and Indian clothing, and some people had things wrapped on their head. And here I am. I have a pink pair of shorts on, a pink and mint green Lacoste shirt, and I feel completely out of place. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I don't know if I belong here. I think I maybe even had a headband on. I'm going to stop, Ed, because you're here.
No, I just came to get my phone.
Well, wait a minute. So here I am feeling very out of place, but what can I do? I'm there, and I'm very excited to see Ram Dass and meet Ram Dass. I'm elated. And he walks into the room and looks at everybody and said, "Hello," and he ushers us into a room. It's a big room, empty, with pillows on the floor, and there's a tucket and a dais. And tucket or a dais. And he says, "Just pick a pillow and just sit semicircle around me." So we all sit down, and I'm directly in front of him. And he says, "Hello, my name is Ram Dass, and all of you are here because you want something from me. Let's go around the room, tell me your name, where you're from, and what you want." So we're sitting there, and he turns to the first person and he said, "Why don't you begin?" And the person says, "My name is Narayana, and I thought you could tell me the secrets of the universe." Well, I started laughing. I thought the person was being facetious. And everybody's sitting in these strong poses, and my knees are up, and I'm totally uncomfortable. And when I started laughing, Ram Dass had a little giggle, and he went, "Shh, shh, shh, shh." So he went around the room. I didn't hear what anybody said. And then he came to me. And I looked up and I said, "Ram Dass, my name is Liisa O'Malley. I'm from Gloucester, Massachusetts, and I've come to receive my next message." Where did that come from? I surely didn't think that I'm going to say that. I was sitting there thinking, I don't know why I'm here. I don't know what I want to say. And I was very nervous. I was 22 years old. And then he went around the room asking everybody else, and then he served Nabisco vanilla wafers and herb tea. And we were there probably for another hour or two, and people were speaking to him. I didn't talk to him. I didn't know what to say to him. And he said, "Okay, everybody, it's 5 o'clock, time for you all to go home." And I got up and I picked up my bag and I picked up my fruit and I went into the bathroom and I walked out of the bathroom. And who's there? Ram Dass. He's about 6'4", big man. And I remember he had a denim shirt on with silver studs. I remember that so clearly. And he had his hair pulled back. And I was so stunned. I just wrapped my arms around his waist and put my head in his chest. And he kissed my head, and then I just handed him the bag of fruit. And he opened it up and he said, Liisa, you remembered my fruit after all this time. I'm so happy to see you. It's been so long. Now that statement, I had not a clue where that was coming from. I didn't know what to say. And he said to me, on your way out, at the door, you're going to see a table and there's index cards there. I want you to write your name and number. And you'll hear from me because I'd like you to be a part of a class that I'm going to be starting here very soon. And I just said, okay. And I went to the door and I wrote my name and telephone number. And then my friend and I went out to the car and we had to drive 6 hours back to Massachusetts, to Gloucester. And for 6 hours, I felt like I was on a magic carpet. I got home that very week. I got a call. And I just happened to answer the phone. Hello? Hello, Liisa. This is Ram Dass calling. Hi, Ram Dass. He said, my class is going to be starting soon, and the end of May, and can you make it? And this, remember, I saw him May 3rd at the gym. I went to New York just a couple weeks later for the interview, and then now it's Memorial Day weekend, and 1975, and he's saying, come to the class. So I went to the class, and of course I was enamored, awestruck, and what I was hearing and what I was learning and what I finally discovered was I was awakening to what awareness is, to mindfulness, to being aware of oneself in a higher sense. And I just felt like, oh my goodness, this is my life's path. This is why I came to Ram Dass. He pointed the way for me. So the class went on. I would go to see him in Cambridge, Massachusetts, at the McClellan's house, 81 Cambridge Street. I can't remember. Washington Ave, and in Cambridge, and that's where Illuminations was held too, where they were creating all the Dharma seals. And Ram Dass would come up from Boston every other week, and then I would go to New York City every other week. And it was just like, wow. And I wanted to share it with everybody, but I think most of my friends and my parents and thought I was, a little bit off the deep end. What was this Ram Dass and meditation and visualization and pranayama and chakra system? All of it, I wanted to share because I thought I had this gem. I knew I had a gem, and I wanted to share the gem with everybody. So classes went on, and since I had just graduated from college in '74, I now had a teaching job. And my teaching job was in Australia. Australia was recruiting teachers back in the 70s. And I had my ticket to go. The government sent you your plane tickets. And Ram Dass decided to have a one-on-one. I think in Zen Buddhism, it's called a dokusan. And I went in for my 101 with him, and he said, so Liisa, what are you going to do? The summer classes were ending. I said, Ram Dass, I really would want to be with you. I really want to continue my studies with you. And he said, He said, okay, today, can you go out to Rego Park in Queens, New York, and there's a house there that have a group of people that also are in this group we're forming, where there are classes happening every day with two women. One is Hilda Charlton and the other is Joya. And I didn't know anything about it, but I went out to that house. I remember I took the D train and then the double E or something, and I got off at 63rd Drive. And I walked up to the house, and Bill Hamilton greeted me. And he had been the one that started the Hanuman Foundation tape library. So all of you that have listened to Ram Dass since the late 60s on cassette tapes, you can thank Bill Hamilton or Babaji for that great service that he provided. And we were walking around the house, and he was showing me around, and there were two phones, a red phone and a black phone. And one of the phones rang, and everyone jumped. And he picked it up, and it was Ram Dass. And he said, "Liisa, the phone's for you." I'm like, how did he know I was here? And I said, "Hello?" And Ram Dass said, "Liisa, what bedroom are you going to take?" And I said, "I don't really know." And he said, "Well, take the one in the garage. The garage has been done over. You take that bedroom." And I just said, "Okay." And I hung up the phone, and Bill Hamilton said, "Take my truck, drive back to Gloucester, Massachusetts. It was an old white International, and it had plenty of room. And here I am. He doesn't know me at all, and I'm 22 or 23 by then. So, and Ram Dass was 44, and I thought he was ancient. Anyway, I got in the car, and I drove back to Gloucester, and I packed my belongings. 2 Samsonite red suitcases, 2 wooden boxes of books and other various things, 2 whiskey boxes, wood whiskey boxes, as my father owned a liquor store. Anyway, my parents, I told them that was going on. They couldn't do anything. I was of age. And I remember the next morning, my bicycle, my 10-speed bike, my 2 boxes, my suitcases, everything was in the car. And they waved to me from the driveway. And their daughter flies the nest. She actually leaves. And I drive to New York, and I was, again, the elation continued. My heart was so open. My heart was so full. I knew that I was walking a path that I was supposed to be walking. So I got to New York, and I got to the house, and I settled in, and then we had our first Ram Dass class on Tuesday night. And the people in that class were just Ram Dass oriented people, or people who had come to the New York scene because of Ram Dass. And there were many houses in Queens, like I was in Queens 5. Queens 5 and 6 were just solely people who had come by way of Ram Dass. And then there were other houses. And we would have classes every day. And Tuesday night was specifically for Ram Dass. And Ram Dass taught us different types of meditation. He taught us pranayama. He taught us about the chakra system. He taught us about what sadhana is, what our practice is. He would lead us in meditations. He would ask us how we were doing. And it was really a very ecstatic time because it was all learning. It was such a time of inspiration for me. It was actually a time of kind of a subtle enlightenment. And so that went on for a full year. And then Ram Dass was going to India, so I said, I've got to go to India too, which did happen that late in August of 75, or maybe it was 76 by then. Yes, it was August of 76. Anyway, this is my ongoing tribute to Ram Dass. This is my first video and internet posting. And what I will do is I will post the 2-minute, 30-second snippet of the memorial service at the Hanuman Gardens in Ojai, California. And it will maybe have for you, it might wet your whistle, and you might want to look at this video more. And I am going to, do a few videos on some teachings that I think are really poignant that Ram Dass gave. and other things, and you're welcome to ask questions. But in ending this video, I would like to ask everybody, because for the past 5 years, many of you know that 20 years ago Ram Dass had a stroke, but for the past almost 20 years he's lived in Maui, and he's been giving retreats in the fall and spring of every year for the past at least 5 years, maybe more. And over the last few years, he had more trouble with his speech, but one thing you felt from him is he radiated love. All the personality, and he had a great and wonderful and big personality with lots of stuff like we all do. But that kind of diminished over time. And he would lead a meditation. So in closing, I would like everyone to close their eyes, if you want, and visualize Ram Dass. Remember, he had an amazing siddhi, or power. He could make you feel loved, acknowledged, and cherished. And you were the one in thousands. Everybody was important. So on that note, let's close our eyes, visualize Ram Dass in our heart, and just repeat inside, I am loving awareness. I am loving awareness. I am loving awareness. I am loving awareness. Thank you so much for listening, and let's continue this together. Let's bring Ram Dass's teaching. Let's let it flourish as it has for so many years.